Good morning, everyone. What is going on? Got another healthy conversation related to AI, to generative AI, specifically looking at things related to 3D, which is super exciting. This is going to be a long one. So, for those of you that are on LinkedIn, we are going to run over the exceedable bandwidth that's going to happen. Okay, I'm just letting you know now. If you're on LinkedIn, come on over to Twitch, come on over to Kick. Either one, I appreciate you coming in and chatting. We're gonna go deep into conversation today. So we're looking at probably a pretty long cast this morning, and the big reason for that is because we got a lot of things to cover. So with a lot of things to cover, that means we got to get into it. We got to get going. Before we do that, it's important for you guys to know who I am, right? So for those of you that this is your first time here, I'm Rob Petrosino, Synth Rob, if you will. I run the Synth Reality Tech Talk every morning, or almost every morning, a couple times a week, here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Kick. I'm across all major channels, so make sure you follow the socials down below. But my role here is to make you feel comfortable about emerging technology, understand what it's doing, and how it can impact the future. Okay, with that, we're going to dig into a very specific topic today, and that topic is generative AI and its application for metaverse, 3D, etc. And there's a lot to cover in this space. So we're going to start out with some things that maybe everyone knows related to AR, VR, and spatial computing. We're going to get into some examples of that. We got to talk through what a digital twin is, because there is a massive shift in digital twinning, which aligns to generative AI in platform, right? And using platforms to design 3D spaces, which is going to impact what the future looks like for these type of tools. So with that, let's transition over to the screen share and get into it. If you don't know, I'm a part of Peak Activity, proven partner to elevate e-commerce and technology outcomes. I manage most of our e-commerce work. I don't manage our e-commerce, excuse me. I manage most of our technology work, especially when it comes to emerging technologies. And on the other side of the desk is a lot of our e-commerce. So we've been around for a while. Been doing this a long time, 8+ years. I've been with the company for a little bit over 5. That being said, let's dig into emerging tech, specifically spatial computing. So there's 2 different types of spatial computing applications that we traditionally see. We see virtual reality and augmented reality. This is a sliding scale. Different experiences can be on different portions of this sliding scale, but supporting it is 2 major pieces of tech. The first one is digital twins. The second one is AI and machine learning. Now, there's a lot of different types of digital twins. There's a lot of different types of AI and machine learning. We're going to digest and get through as much as we can today so that everyone feels a little bit more comfortable on what we're talking about and looking at when it comes to this type of technology. With that, if you have ever put on an Oculus headset, you have gone through predominantly, most likely, you've gone through an augmented, a virtual reality experience. I totally and completely lose the real world around me, and I only see the digital world that's in my space. If you put on a set of Nreal glasses or Magic Leap or a couple others, you predominantly went through an augmented reality experience where I can still retain and see the real world around me, and I'm able to overlay it with digital objects. Okay. There's a lot of different headsets that are in the market. This is a couple weeks old now, but there is a slew of headsets that span this range. Okay, this is not every headset underneath the sun, but on the left-hand side, we have one of the TCL glasses that just came out. Then we have Nreal. These are straight augmented reality headsets. They allow you to see the real world and add digital objects on top of it. Next to that is the Magic Leap 2 device. In all honesty, have built several applications for the the Magic Leap 2 device. It's absolutely fantastic. An early access partner had access to that device for a little bit over 8 months before it came out. Varjo dead set in the center here. This is a tethered device that blends the two different worlds, right? This is where we have an augmented reality experience because we have these 4K cameras on the outside, and we have a virtual reality experience because we have the screen. This is a high-power device that allows you to cut out your hands and have a driving simulation experience, right? So I can see my hands in near real time while I'm driving this car, but everything above my dashboard is actual virtual reality. Kind of crazy. If you have questions, if you're interested or you have an opinion, please feel free to drop a comment across any of the platforms. Happy to chat with you about it. So that Varjo headset is dead set in the center there. Okay, it allows you to do both augmented and virtual reality experiences. Next to that is the new Meta headset, the Quest Pro, that again has 2K cameras on the outside as well as a LiDAR device, so you can do some level of pass-through augmented reality. Pass-through AR means I'm using these cameras to render what that camera sees on my screen, and then add digital objects on top of it, but can also be turned off for virtual reality, right, where I no longer see the real world. To the right of those, we have the original Quest device and then PlayStation VR. Both of these devices, again, strictly virtual reality, however, have some low definition cameras on them so that it can detect the space that you are in and be safe when you're going through a VR experience. Those cameras do have some latency, which is why you see a ton of funny videos online of people running into walls, etc., because those cameras are not very fast on feedback, which is okay. When we think about these types of headsets, they have a litany of uses, right? On the far right-hand side, when we look at this PlayStation device, it's obviously geared towards gaming. On the far left-hand side, we have our TCL device, which is much more likely for daily usage, okay? Daily usage being wearing it pretty much every single day. Okay, great. So we have those spans of devices. Now, when we look at augmented reality, this is just a little bit of what those examples look like. Augmented reality, this is actually taken from now a newly positioned company, or a position pivot for a company called Mojo Vision. They were working on a contact lens here that allowed you to see different instructions and daily information on the device. What's nice is that this actually was totally powerless. This is all powered by a necklace that you wear around your neck, but it could give you everything from Yelp reviews and directions all the way through your heart rate and your distance and directions. So traditionally what we see in augmented reality is overlaying real world information onto the overlaying digital information on the real world around us and making sure that it's responsive and actionable. Okay, heads-up displays is a very key use case for this and why it's so important. We're very straightforward with Pokemon Go being one of the large users of augmented reality, what is the main staples of this, but even Google Maps on the lower right-hand side has been using this as well. So because of that, there is quite a bit of augmented reality currently in the world and in what we do day to day, and probably hidden behind a feature or two in applications. So with that, we head over to virtual reality. Virtual reality, I'm completely lost. I'm completely in a different world. I do not see anything around me but what the device allows me to see. Okay, this is very SynthRider, very, very familiar VR application, and this VR application lets us hit these different blocks with these lightsaber-esque devices, and when we hit these different lightsaber devices, use these lightsaber devices to hit these, they are changing tone and inflection. You have to dodge. This is primarily a great use case for virtual reality, right? And how virtual reality impacts a user's entertainment style experience. Awesome. the next portion of this is really focused on digital twin. Digital twins are real-world, accurate 3D representations of real-world objects or locations. So you can have a digital twin of a couch, you can have a digital twin of an airport. There's quite a significant change in what those digital twins look like and how they function. And there's even a maturation model related to digital twins. So because of that, we have to understand that this maturation model directly is attributable to what the future use cases are for these types of digital twins. So when we look at a level 1 virtual twin, that means that we have a exact replication of a real world object, and that real world object lets us have it size, dimensional accurately, and helps facilitate an understanding of a real world object in space. Because of that, what we're going to see is virtual twins being couches, chairs that we see in augmented reality. What we can see in augmented reality then overlaid in our space. So I can see a chair, what it looks like in my room. It's spatially aware. It places it on the floor. It also is the right size. I can interact with it and change its location. I can rotate it, etc., etc. That's your level 1 virtual twin. We're going to skip up to a level 3 in a predictive twin. Now, if we took that chair or couch and had analytics and decision assistance as well as predictive maintenance, maybe there's a chip in there that lets us know how many times it's been sat on. And if we know how many times it's been sat on, we can then help give the owner the right and understanding to say, great, it's been sat on this number of times, we probably need to get the couch cushion fixed. Awesome. Level 5 autonomous twin now gives you a fully useful and predictive machine learning system that autonomously changes the seat cushions. It will schedule maintenance, and it will even tell you when you need a full replacement of that couch. Because of that, these level 5 autonomous twins are not out yet. We are mostly revolving around level 3 predictive twins, touching a little bit into level 4, but really the mass market is somewhere in between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. So this is the mass general assumption of digital twins when it comes to a maturation model. So really, really interesting when it comes from that perspective and how it can be impacting the future of pretty much every business, from furniture to cars to airports. Okay. With that, we need to start talking about how digital twins are made. Digital twins have been made a slew of different ways, right? So on the left-hand side, we're going to see a traditional CAD 2D model. We're going to see annotations of different parts, a very straightforward way, a generation 1 digital twin manifestation, right, to go from 2D to 3D is using something like Unity and its industry setting or its cloud processing to go from a flat 2D file to a 3D format, right? What this does is it allows an engineer to go and see something in 3D. The nice part about working in Unity is that it actually will desaturate or depolygon that as well, so that it is useful for the specific user. And because of that, what actually happens is that you see a rapid uptick in how users actually set their product design process. Because now I have access of it outside of it. I don't actually need a physical manifestation of it, but I can actually do it all virtually, which is really, really impressive. Because of that, we know that there is Mojo higher levels of efficiency that are delivered in this space, and that is really what we like to see. It's efficiency drivers, use cases that are impactful and important for the user. Okay, cool. So we get through that portion of it. What we do then is we move forward to generation 2. This is a little bit different. On the left-hand side, you see Luma Labs. This is using LiDAR to generate 3D models of different objects. So Luma Labs on the left-hand side, Niantic on the right-hand side. We're going to talk about Niantic in a second here, but Luma.ai or Luma Labs allows you to take 360-degree photos of an actual object, use photogrammetry, which is the ability to stitch photos together. When those photos are stitched together, you can actually see what they would look like in a 3D model.
This is
and
all
when you see them in a 3D model, you can actually facilitate loading them into virtual spaces like you see here. So this is based on photogrammetry and LiDAR. LiDAR is a light detection radar device that is ranging and telling you what a color and pixel of an object is in space. So when I use my camera, I hold it up. If I have an iPhone, it has a LiDAR sensor attached to it. It's back here on the lower right-hand side of the 3-camera cluster. What actually happens is there's basically a little light beam that hits the object, and it understands what color and pixel is in space. When it knows the color and pixel, it then pulls it back in, holds that data with an X, Y, and Z, so it understands what that is. Now, machine learning on device can go from a bunch of point clouds, which is that pixel in place, and then generate a 3D model from it. Then when you have that 3D model using photogrammetry, you can overlay the photos so that it is visualized in a making sure that it's responsive model. Action. And because of that, you have endless possibilities of taking real-world objects and making sized and dimensionally accurate digital twins. Now, the biggest issue that we saw was these digital twins needed the LiDAR device to be generated. Well, half of the world does not have a LiDAR-enabled device. And if half the world doesn't have a LiDAR-enabled device, what do? Well, Niantic makes a non-LiDAR based 3D model photo generation tool where you take about 60 to 100 photos of an object or a video, and then it will process it using photogrammetry and machine learning to make a 3D model of it. So this next generation really unlocks 3D model or digital twinning to anyone that has a device. However, in Generation 3, we see it go even further beyond that. Okay, we can take a single photo now with AI and input it and then generate what we think is a view of that 3D model based on a data set of specific items. That data set is wide and varying. It could be everything underneath the sun. And what's interesting for it is that when you make this 3D model, it also has rough texture, a finalized texture, and that actual bones or 3D model in and of itself. And it's using a single photo for reference. So it'll give you the input view. It'll give you the estimated volume in this machine learning setting, and then actually process it so that you get an optimization of that object. And it's really impressive because we're taking an image-based shape and reconstruction off of a single photo, and there's no rigging of the structure itself, which means there's no LiDAR needed. Quite literally just give it a photo and it'll create a 3D model. Now we're talking about single object, but this can be done as well in a bunch of different settings, right? Whether it's a car, whether it's a location, etc., etc. It can all actually be done as well. This is a Generation 3. The next level of this is what we're seeing in these AI generated motion graphics. So fantastic company called Wonder Dynamics or Wonder Studio is moving into these motion graphics world where you can upload a video. It'll pre-rig that video and define what that character's skeletal frame looks like for an animation. When it has that skeletal frame, it'll actually enable it to move and be replaced by a 3D model. Now, when we think about this is absolutely impressive. You can go from a standard shot video on your phone or camera, upload it into Wonder Studio, and go directly into 3D model animation over the top of it. This is traditionally done through performance capture or motion capture, when it's performed and motion captured, then you have a 3D artist overlay or create the character. Then a 3D rigging animation artist is going to rig that character and then overlay it frame by frame into this traditional video for replacement. However, it can be done quickly and easily with something as simple as Wonder Studio, where it's just a wholesale replacement. On the other side, Matterpiece Studio, what they're doing is actually text to animated character. So you upload a 3D model, you ask it to walk and twirl here, and it's going to rig and animate what that looks like. Now, when we pair this and digital twins back to those headsets, we're approaching a time where I can wear a headset and quite literally replace the people that are in my real world with animated characters in near real time with a high level of accuracy. Combining this with something like DALL-E, which is generative AI for visuals, we can have customized characters of the world that we live in and truly live in a metaverse style experience where all of the people that I see are actually not real. They are actually completely fabricated, and if they're completely fabricated, that means that the world that we're moving towards is extremely different than the world that we live in now. So when we take that, well, we can now say this generative AI models can be added to platforms. Traditionally, there's two major platforms where we create metaverse or VR or AR experiences. They're done in Unity or Unreal. We actually have AI generation for 3D models in both of these. So Get3D allows you to animate and build these cows in a virtual space with just a single click. It's using AI to generate different reference cows. It understands what cows look like. And as you click and drag and squiggle on screen, it's making carbon copies or generative AI copies of cows so that they exist in your space. We see this also in the flat world with Adobe Firefly that recently came out. You can select different areas and it'll use DALL-E style, DALL-E generative AI, to change what a lighthouse would look like, or adding a turtle underneath here, or adding a text prompt to add an underwater city underneath this. These generative AI text to visualization tools are quite popular and increasing this. If you're interested in this, NV Labs actually has this directly on here. So with that, we move over to OpenAI and NVIDIA. OpenAI and NVIDIA allows you to view and add 3D models to specifically 3D spaces that are defined. So I can click and annotate a specific area, add a text prompt saying this is the reception area where we let customers in the front desk, etc. It'll add the models to that space, and then I can accurately size and change them all in platforms. So this is OpenAI text prompts plus NVIDIA and their 3D catalog. These types of experiences are here now. This is exactly what we're talking about when we think of how generative AI is going to change what we do on a daily basis. And this is really, really impressive. But the most impressive thing that we've seen is actually this right here, which is when we go from these text prompts of specific items in a room to text prompts of an actual world itself. So on the left hand side, we're seeing generative AI create a 3D world around us. The same thing on the right hand side. This is actually, the right hand side is by a company called Blockade Labs, Skybox. They're generating 3D worlds that are navigatable and exportable to a bunch of different platforms. So these types of experiences are here now. So not only can we generate what's in our real world, we can generate virtual worlds all through prompts and all through machine learning. So these types of experiences are absolutely incredible and incredibly different than what we think the world will be in the future. Adding these all together, we are on the edge of an incredible, incredible experience, an incredible world that we live in. So with that, I give you a little bit about generative AI and what generative AI will do in your business and how it is going to change the world we live in. So I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you chatting with me. Most people have a question, comment, concern, or idea after going through one of these presentations. So feel free to reach out. I look forward to chatting with you. Let me know if you want to sit down and chat about these items. Thanks for hanging in there, and make sure you give us a follow on any platform that you're on so you get notifications about us, but also make sure you reach out directly. Thank you, and I will see you guys and gals on the other side.